Hello, and welcome to Poetry in Prose. Today we're going to be on recent readings, and the book I have for you is A Month in the Country by J.L. Carr, and it's actually the person I dedicated my book to with Lady Evelyn because it so inspired me and inspired me to write Lady Evelyn. A Month in the Country is a very short little book. You might sense a theme with that. I like short little easily digestible books, but it packs a lot in the nothingness, if that makes any sense. Our character is struggling with PTSD from the First World War, and he's got this job out somewhere he doesn't even know, a little backwards village. And off he goes, and goes on one of the biggest adventures of his life. And it explores how you can have one of the biggest adventures in your life and have it not really mean anything. And that might sound quite cynical, but the main character always goes back to this month in the country as the fondest moment he ever had in his entire existence, which is quite sad. But it's also quite amazing that this is his favorite period of life. You know, it's quite relatable in a way, and a lot of people will look at it and go, "God, what a miserable life he had." But I don't see it that way because when he's here, he truly felt at peace, really enjoyable, and surely a month of that was better than never having experienced it at all. He's taken to an old church where he lives up in the upper floor in the big bell tower with a small heater that barely works. And his job is to restore a painting inside the church with this lovely kind of railway illustration on this modern penguin copy. Um, it's just been all painted over, and he has to take the paint off very slowly, and so it takes him a month to do the work. And he's been paid by the rich lady who owns the whole estate to do it. And there's another man who is paid to be looking for this lost treasure out in the grounds. And the dynamic between them and the reverend, who doesn't like him being there at all and doesn't particularly want the painting opened anyway, and the small families he meets, and then the reverend's wife, who he ends up falling madly in love with but never telling her, and who he thinks she probably feels the same way about, but of course is with the reverend. There's a lot of unrequited love and a lot of things not said and not done, and he's just busy working. And I just think it's beautiful. And J.L. Carr himself said, A Month in the Country is a book about nothing. And he thought, can I write a book about nothing? And in a way, I did the same with Lady Evelyn, where there's no big dramatic fights, there's no big scenes. And to a lot of people, that will put them off because they want a big plot, they want a big story, they need it to excite them at every page. But for me, this was so much like real life, and having lived in the countryside quite a bit, just that mundane plodding along, but then looking back and realizing that that was quite a special time, and you enjoyed that time, and also trying to figure out when you've peaked in life. So a lot of people constantly they're trying to progress in a linear fashion, and they think that life's just going to keep getting better. But this book explores the theme that he's got PTSD from World War One. He's been through some terrible things. He finds this place. He finally feels at peace, and then he has to leave it and move on because his contract's up and he's got no money. So off he goes, and he always looks back on this month in the country as the happiest time in his life. And it's kind of exploring that. What if you peak very early on in life? How do you deal with the rest of your life? Do you just regret it continuously like this man does? Or do you say, well, maybe I peaked in one area in that sense, but now I'm going to go explore other avenues where I can peak in different places? And while I don't necessarily agree with the character's philosophy of just constantly looking back, it is an easy thing for humans to do, specifically regret and look back and wonder and think, gosh, that was the best time I ever had, and it's never going to get better than that. But it's just beautiful. Everything about the book is beautiful. The setting in summertime is just gorgeous, and the rolling green hills, and you feel like you're in it. And the small little moments of humanity that happen all the way through, and the things that aren't said, which as someone that struggles with communication, really found that very enjoyable because a lot of the things I mean are not said. But I highly recommend it, and I think you'll very much enjoy it. And just to reiterate, I'm not sponsored by any of these places. I'm just somebody who enjoys reading and would like to share some of the things I enjoy reading. So if you have any thoughts on A Month in the Country, please put it down in the comments. let's start a discussion if you have any books you think are similar. I definitely want to read more of J.L. Carr's work, and I've got another one of his books in the queue, so maybe that will feature on here. But a truly interesting man who was a school teacher and wrote on the side, and a truly fascinating book, which I really, really enjoyed. So I really do recommend A Month in the Country, and I hope that if you do read it, you'll get the same out of it that I did. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.